Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today we're going to be talking about pretty much the best stands for PvE slash farming, like what's going to be super, super easy for the new player to grind. And I thought the best way to kind of portray this is by a tier list, because let's be honest, who doesn't love a good tier list? Now, with this being the case, we're just going to go ahead and go based off of only PvE, strictly PvE. This has nothing to do with PvP, obviously. This only has to do with PvE. This is what's going to be faster for you to grind with and stuff like that, and what's really good for this grind and what's really bad for this grind. All right, let's get into it. So, first things first, we're going to talk about Octoon Baby. Now, don't get me wrong, Octoon Baby is actually very, very powerful. The crying effect, the bottle throw, everything else, but honestly, it only has three moves that really make it work. Even though it's incredibly good, there's stands that really stick out and make sure that like farming is a lot faster than Octoon Baby, but it still is a very good farming stand, great starter stand, and you should be able to actually like get pretty far with it too. At least finish all the quests, do your rebirth, all the other good stuff, and even farm some mastery levels if you want to. We'll be talking about money and stuff like that in a future video. Right now, I'm just trying to get all the fun ones out of the way so we can kind of get into the more nitty gritty ones, more technical. But right now, this is just one of those good ones. Next is Aerosmith. Aerosmith has a very impressive kit, super, super destructive. Just, I don't know, they just overdid it with Aerosmith. You don't even need to go into pilot mode. All you have to do is just turn on that nice mode that does overdrive and do all that extra bit of damage, and it'll just be very, very good. You can even hold down the M1 infinitely. So you'll hold it down until it runs out, then you do it again, then you do it again, then you do it again. And if that doesn't tickle your fancy, the bomb, the R bomb, the heavy attack is just so destructive. It's just so crazy. Aerosmith is amazing for grinding. I don't think there's another stand out here that really portrays what it means to just do all out damage like Aerosmith does. Uh, you know, of course, all this stuff is subject to change depending on what happens next with the next future stands and what happens with the development of the game. So I can't really say that Aerosmith might stay over here. Might end up changing in the future. We'll see what happens. Now, Bassett is terrible for grinding. And you'll probably be like, but it's got three good moves. It's got two good moves, and status effects don't work on like dummies. So, since status effects don't work on dummies, it's got the opposite effect of what you would want in a stand that's made for farming. So, Bassett is just not good. You're going to be stuck there throwing knives and power chords and hopefully doing damage to dummies slower than everyone else on this list. Boy to Man. Boy to Man is just in that B category of it could be and it could be not, because it really just depends on what happens to Boys to Men, and especially whenever it comes down to what moves does it end up stealing. Like if you don't steal the correct moves, you might end up getting something very bad, like a Bassett move or something that doesn't affect dummies. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's either you have really really good moves that work against dummies, or you have really really good moves that work against PvP. So it's like it's really up there. Hard to say. Next we're gonna be talking about Golden Experience Rec Room. I think this Golden Experience Requiem does do some damage. I wouldn't say it's like crazy, crazy good against like obviously like it's a PvP stand through and through, but it does do some very nice damage. I wouldn't say that it's bad damage. It's very, very good damage. Next we have Hamon. Hamon is so spammable. It's crazy. Obviously, this is why you don't let people like with Hamon like try to box you up, because they will box you up. That's the entire stand. The entire like ability itself is to box the hell out of you. So if you like stand too close, you could get beat up very quickly. But in PvE, this is even better because you don't have a moving target. You just keep spamming your moves, man. And the cooldowns are so short. Obviously, they just nerfed Barrage today, but the cooldowns are still short. So like the damage and everything still just doesn't even matter. The other moves in its kit are just amazing. It's just very, very solid. Highway Star, the only problem with Highway Star is that it keeps getting nerfed on the moves that make it better in that regard of damage wise. But yeah, now it's kind of like in that thing where it's like mostly good in PvP than PvE. King Crimson, solid damage dealing stand. Not bad at all. Obviously, it is made for PvP, but it does have some very devastating moves like the chop and stuff like that that still keep it in that category of useful. So I can't really say that King Crimson's going to fall off anytime soon, especially just because it's got that kind of work that it can put in. So yeah, very very good. Manhattan Transfer is actually a fantastic stand for grinding. The only reason why is because it has some of the highest damage in the entire game, especially for if you love trolling or if you love just farming in general. All you have to do is just aim for the head, and it's going to do a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Next is Magician's Red. Magician's Red has a terrible fall off because Magician's Red requires you to use that crazy burning status effect that lasts for 5 seconds. But the problem is, this doesn't really work with Magician's Red very often. It just doesn't work uh, for dummies. No status effects work for dummies. I still say it could do more damage than Boys to Men, but Boys to Men is just the random factor in this entire tier list. So, could be not. Next, we do have Golden Experience Requiem. Golden Experience Requiem is a very, very solid stand. I would say it does a lot of damage, but yet again, it's that status affliction that you're kind of aiming for. So it's like it's not the craziest damage, but it's still there. It still does good damage. Stone Human. My problem with Stone Human is that it does do damage. It's very solid. It's just a little slow, and it only has like 3 good moves. So with that being the case, I can't really say Stone Human's going to be like crazy strong, especially since 2 of its moves are literally defensive, and there's nothing you could really do after that. Obviously Star Platinum. Star Platinum's just one of those like one of those stands that do tons and tons of damage. Like you can just keep clicking different moves, and he's just going to keep hitting. And that's the whole point of like Star Platinum. He's a very solid character, solid stand, especially for farming. I would even put him above something like Hamon, and he's just super good for farming. Over here we have Stone Free. I love Stone Free, but it's got that same flaw that like Magician's Red has, but it's worse because it only has a couple damaging moves, it has more defensive moves, and it requires you to hit that hemorrhage bleed. And if it can't hit the hemorrhage bleed, then it's weak against farming. You got to kill dummies, man. And dummies are not affected by status affliction. So if dummies aren't affected by status affliction, there's nothing you could really do. You can't make a dummy bleed. All right. Next um we have spin. Spin is honestly very solid. You could spam it very quickly, but it does have this problem of kind of being in that category of does a lot of damage, could be very fast, but requires you to be low HP. And like, because you want that like that final movement ability that kind of like makes your move super spammable. So I mean, you could use that, but it's super situational. And I can't really say spin is the craziest for farming. I would say it's like solid A. You could still throw spin balls at a dummy and it's still going to hit like very hard. But I think that spin in itself is just still a defensive stand that requires you to like be low in order to do a lot of damage. And that's why I got to like, actually, it's a high B. It's a high B. Emperor is very fun, very solid. Infinite bullet spam. You could just keep sitting there, roll, spam, roll, spam, roll, spam. It's got like multiple incredibly high damage moves, including the ultimate, which is the nose grab. So Whole Horse's Emperor is actually an incredibly solid weapon. I wouldn't say it's a very bad at all. The only dealio is that nope. Yeah, no. As long as you spam the roll, you're just gonna have infinite barrage bullets. Yep. Soft and wet. Soft and wet is also in that category of incredibly solid stand. If you know how to do the bubble combo, then you just win against dummies because the bubble combo is just so destructive. It's a little slower than some of the other stands up here in S, but sorry, you can activate the bubble at any point, and that just makes it incredibly good against like just popping it, and then all of a sudden you did 200,000 damage. And especially if you get some like really good traits on this thing, Like after that, it's like super broken, like Aerosmith or something like that. We have Tusk Act 4. Tusk Act 4 is just so destructive. I would say it's in that like category of just super barrage based stands, doesn't stop, just keep attacking type deal. And I think that Tusk Act 4 is just up there whenever it comes down to just damage dealing. Of course, some of these more high tier, 7 tier stands, 6 tier stands, they're just going to be more destructive. Some of them are just going to have less capabilities against some dummies versus PvP, but it is what it is. The world, obviously, it's a stand like Star Platinum, except it does require you to use bleed, but at the same time, it has so many really good moves that it's like super useful. Underworld, Underworld is fun. Don't get me wrong, Underworld is very fun, but it's super like situational and it's super okay. I wouldn't even say it's really, really up there, especially whenever it comes down to just moves. It's like kind of like spin in that category, where it's got some moves that are really, really good, and then some moves that are just okay for farming, but really good for PVE. Next, we have the world over heaven, obviously superstar shining, solid punch the rewrite and everything like that. It's gonna be up there. It's literally just one of those stands that just does so much damage. It's ridiculous. You can't really stop and stuff like that. You can just keep spamming, and the world over heaven is just that damage dealer. Very, very solid. We have Tusk Act 1, 2, and 3. Kind of falls into that same category of just super spammable. So I wouldn't even say it's like that bad. Just keep spamming your nail gun and other far range projectiles, and you'll be just fine. So after that, you're just kind of like chilling. We have we have golden experience. I mean not golden experience. We have go, man, what's your name again? It is Golden Tempest. Yeah, Golden Tempest. Golden Tempest is all right, but it's in that category of needing more moves to do more damage, and it just doesn't do that whenever it comes down to dummies. Like you can stack, but again, one of your most devastating moves is the Whirlpool, and it doesn't affect dummies. Again, status afflictions not affecting dummies. You could put the little nodes on the dummy, but you can't use the Whirlpool, which is the most devastating like node move in the entire game for this stand. So it just doesn't affect it. Um, we have like Vampire. Vampire's kind of up there a little bit, but not really. I don't really know where to portray Vampire in this because Vampire's like it's like stone human where it does a lot of damage, but it's super situational. It doesn't do the craziest amounts of damage, especially against dummies where it can't bleed. So, I mean, you could freeze it and keep spamming moves. Where I kind of like just put it into that late B category where it's like right there next to spin. And then we have our last super situational stand, which is just going to be like White Snake. White Snake is just super good as a stand, but that's pretty much it. It kind of just stops right there. I wouldn't say it's like super super good in farming because it doesn't have one of those star stopper moves that makes it super damaging against a target that's kind of stand still. But it's just got a lot of moves that you could spam, and it is super possible to like farm with it. So this is kind of like where I kind of put everything whenever it comes down to farming, what the best stands for farming would be. I honestly would put this stand soft and wet down here because of just how much faster every other stand is here. Um, and then maybe yeah, Manhattan Transfer too. Let's do that. All right. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell down below. I'll see you guys in a future video. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to smash the like and comment your thoughts on the tier list. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy and peace.